Dominating the backdrop of the whole city is the famous Taipei 101. Those who are scared of heights, you better look away. So I've just stepped off the world's fastest elevator, which goes up at a pretty swift 1,010 meters per minute. I'm at 508 meters at the Taipei 101, and just to state the really shockingly obvious, if it's a bright, clear, sunny day like it is today, come up here. There's a view of the entire city all the way to the Danshui River and beyond. Have a look.
300 years ago, the area where modern-day Taipei now stands was a lake. As the lake drained away, the rising lake bed formed what is known today as the Taipei Basin. In the early 18th century, Han Chinese, mainly from Fujian province on the mainland, began to settle here. With time, the new arrivals turned the area, nurtured by the Danshui River, into a flourishing trade port, which subsequently grew into the modern city we know today. Right, as far as I'm concerned, there's never a bad time for a cup of coffee. In this place, I'm fascinated to find that it's not just the coffee-making techniques that are old school. So too are the majority of the clientele. Taiwan's coffee house culture took root during the Japanese colonial period, around the turn of the 20th century. And like in France, it has been embraced wholeheartedly ever since. In Taiwan, it definitely seems to be ingrained in the lifestyle, not just a passing trend. The construction of Taipei's metro, known as the MRT or Massive Rapid Transit System, revolutionized transport around the city in the 90s, and is definitely one of the best ways to get around. It's clean, modern, and efficient. The announcements are given in 4 different languages: English, Mandarin, Southern Fujian dialect, and Hakka dialect, which really highlights the diversity of people found on the island. I don't have time to become fluent in any of the dialects before I arrive at Longshan Temple. Now this is the ideal place to soak up some of Taiwan's vibrant religious traditions. Longshan is the island's oldest and most famous temple. Established in 1738, Dragon Mountain Temple is a reference to a mountain and sacred temple in Fujian province, where a sizable part of the area's original inhabitants came from. It's principally a Buddhist temple dedicated to Guan Yin, the goddess of mercy. However, thanks to the diversity of the local community back in the day, there are more than 100 deities worshipped here. Today happens to be the birthday of Wen Shu, a disciple of the Buddha Sakyamuni. Wen Shu, being associated with wisdom, intelligence, and realization, attracts an overwhelming number of students praying for good exam results. We've all been there. When it comes round to exam time, you need all the help you can get. Right, back onto the metro line, and after our cultural immersion at the temple, it's time for some R&R in the sun.
Pretty scenic way of taking the subway, huh?
Final stop on the red line, Danshui, and everyone gets off. Set on the banks of the Danshui River, about 20 kilometers north of Taipei, you'll find a town steeped in history and tradition. Danshui was the main point of contact between Chinese and foreign merchants in the 19th century, during its heyday as the island's major port. Originally known as Huwei, the name Danshui literally means fresh water, and is thought to have been given by early Chinese seafarers. Danshui is one of the most popular destinations for a day trip outside Taipei. The sun's shining, then don't hesitate to take the metro or to hop onto a boat.
It's the way that it should be true. You're good for me.
It's the easiest place for urbanites to escape to, since it's only half an hour away from the city. A lot of people even enjoy cycling here from the city centre. Above all though, this is a very, very romantic spot to bring your special someone. It's peaceful, there's a refreshing sea breeze.
It's the way that it should be true. You're good for me. We go walking It's the way that it should be.
The sunset may be the way to a woman's heart, but for a man, it's more often than not through his stomach. Now, how many things can you genuinely say you don't mind queuing for?
So I've arrived at one of Taiwan's most famous exports. That's Tai Fung. It's an incredible baozi restaurant, which I've been lucky enough to taste when I was in Beijing. But they also have branches in New York, as well as many other countries. Now, if you see behind me, this place is full of people. They're all queuing to get in. And it's definitely worth doing. I'm going to have a look.
Established in 1969, Tai Fung was once voted one of the top 10 restaurants in the world by the New York Times. It's most famous for its succulent, juicy dumplings, filled with a whole host of flavours inside a thin layer of skin. Dumpling chefs have to undergo 3 months training just to learn the art of rolling the skins, followed by another 3 to master wrapping it. Each is sealed with exactly 18 folds and weighs in at a precise 21 grams. Just no beating the taste of perfection.